welcome back. Thanks for tuning in today. So we covered the eclipse in my last video, and I wanted to kind of go over pretty much what the houses represent. So a lot of times when I go over the transits and talk a lot about the aspects that are going on between different planets, I also include the houses. Many times people can be confused by what I'm exactly meaning by that, and because of it, I'm going to take this video to go over what each house represents. That being said, anytime you have a new moon, a full moon, or transits or retrogrades going on within a house, what that's saying is that it is going to affect that area of your life. Within astrology, there are 12 houses. Each house actually pertains to a certain sign, a certain area of the body, and as well as certain areas of your life. This is very important to know. The reason being is because lots of times when I go over the different transits, a lot of people might feel like it doesn't apply to them, but it is because they're not actually looking at what area of their chart is actually being affected. And it's very, very important to do this also because you want to be prepared, very well prepared to understand what in your life is going to change, what in your life needs to have some endings, or also what part of your life could use the resources that are being provided, especially with the information that I've been giving you. What areas of your life can actually be healed. A lot of times we don't really notice something until it's too late, but many times the universe is already giving us the necessary resources that we need in order to pass to the next round of our lives. So because of that, it is so very important to keep eyes and ears open, but you can really help yourself doing this by being prepared to know what area of your life that these transits are going to affect. So let's start with the first house. So the first house is ruled by Aries, and that's the ruler would be Mars. This house is all about beginnings. Aries is that fun, fiery sign that just kind of wants to just have a good time. Its focus is mainly just embracing all areas of life because it is the beginning of life. It is the new beginning. It is almost like having that energy of a new moon, starting something fresh and really looking forward to it. First house stands for the body. It is the temple that is housing your soul within this journey. It's just the encasing. So we're not including all the individual organs because each sign actually represents a different area within the body. It also stands for your focus, as it's the foundation of your personality. In astrology, when you look at your birth chart, when you have particular signs and planets within this area, it really specifies what your appearance comes off as. Your first house is an extremely important house because it is your rising sign, your ascendant. This is the main sign that goes ahead and sets up the rest of the houses all throughout the wheel to let us know as astrologers exactly who you are as a person. Your first house really gives away how you come off to other people. And what that means is that if you have, let's say, Aquarius in your first house as the ascendant, it means that you have a very tall, lanky, studious look to you. Another example would be a Scorpio. A Scorpio has that dark, mysterious look that people really channel their energy towards trying to figure out who you are. There are other clues that can be given about you within your first house where let's say that you have Aquarius as your ascendant, but then you also have Pisces in that first house as well, sharing that space. So what that really means is that you have a little bit of a Uranus flair, but you also have a lot of Neptune, dreamy, mermaid kind of energy to you as well. First house also has to do with how you want to look to another person. So it is the energy that you give off because ultimately you are really trying to find this energy within yourself on this journey. So someone that has Libra within their first house is definitely going to be somebody that wants to come off like they're balanced, but they actually have a lifestyle that's not so balanced. So they're going to be one of those people that are going to try to make it seem like, you know, everything's okay or that everything is light and love. very balanced energy, or people that are really into fairness or justice. So it's going to kind of give that look to another person because that is basically the personality that that chart holder is trying to embody. First house also represents not just the physical body, but also the head, the eyes, and the brain, what our focus is. So now that we understand the first house, let's go on to the second house. The second house is ruled by Taurus. Taurus is governed by Venus. The second house is considered to be a supportive house. It is a house that supports the first house. So when you think of the body and you're thinking of what you need in order to support your body, that really goes into what the second house is of nourishment, of value, food intake. someone's worth, energy that means something to you. Collector's items. Maybe you have a special collection within your house of like sunglasses, or a special collection of cars, family assets, savings, hoarded wealth. Let's say that you have Mars in the second house. That would mean that pretty much you are somebody that just is in soldier form when it comes to putting food into your mouth. You're kind of just eating what you have to eat so you can just go ahead and get to the next action. It's very, very quick energy. Second house also stands for speech. Reason being is because it has to do with the throat and vocal cords and the neck. Because if you have a good placement in this area, you might be somebody that's known to be a good public speaker, or also someone that has a beautiful singing voice. Second house is also very important when it comes to looking at the idea of marriage. Third house is represented by Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Third house is all about willpower, hobbies, courage, your neighborhood growing up and around you at the current moment. Communication, how we communicate, media, the news that is being passed around A to B and very quickly. Things that are accessible right away where you can just click a button. So these are your local television stations reporting news. This is everything that's on Instagram and Facebook. It's very quick information. Short distance travel, getting from your house to work or to a close nearby beach. Local, because opposite of that is the ninth house, which has everything to do with long distance travel. So first house, we have our physical body. Second house, we have our speech. Now we're getting into how we communicate using our speech, talking and networking. It's pretty much how we are when we step out of the door. So what that means is that this is how we interact with our neighbors. This is how we interact with our classmates. Third house asks, what do you like to do? What are the things that you would consider to be your favorite hobbies? Gemini rules the hands, the arms, and the nervous system. So what this can also mean is that if you have, let's say, like Venus, which is how you express yourself within Gemini, or Venus in the third house, that really hints that you might actually love a hobby that has to do with the hands. So this can be drawing, this could be writing, playing an instrument, and really getting to know knowledge. The fourth house is ruled by Cancer, and Cancer is governed by the moon. Fourth house is all about home. Now, when I say home, this can also obviously have to do with your family, but it really talks about what you consider to be home, the conveniences within the home. This has to do with really what's in your mind, your thoughts, your emotional needs, your comfort space. It is basically who you are at night. This is what they call in astrology the IC. It really talks about who you are at your core and within your heart. This placement is also very important when looking at marriage because this has to do with your family. What kind of home that you might have, or what kind of environment that you grew up in. Again, this is past, present, and future. So this will give away a lot of clues of what your family life was at when you were younger and the vibe of your home life once you have your own family of your own. Again, this doesn't always have to do with family because for many people, they live by themselves. Fourth house also represents your mother. So this can give a lot of information on who she is and how she affects your personal story. Fifth house ruled by Leo. The fifth house is all about how we express ourselves. Fifth house is what I like to call the house of creation, self-expression, the playhouse, the fun area of your life, what fun means to you. Entertainment, pleasure, drama, gambling, children, you within your childhood and your children's childhood of their own. Romance, the romantic side of yourself, and your lovers versus your actual partners. And the reason being why romance is in the same house as children is because the romance is what gets you the children in the first place. Many astrologists also talk about how this has to do with the sexual house. Now, this I would more so say has to do with the casual sex because 8th house really talks about your sexual life in a more heavier kind of way. Leo is ruled by the sun, so there might be some clues about your father in this one, but you also mainly have most of your clues in the 10th house when it comes to your father. 5th house also talks about speculative business. This house rules the heart, the spine, and the upper back area of the body. 6th house has to do with daily activities, obstacles, your health, relationship with coworkers, and any conflicts that might come along the way of achieving your goals. Virgo is the ruler of this house, governed by Mercury. 6th house is also known as the house of enemies. So in a way, this can really, since the house represents your coworkers, this can signify them because in many areas of work, you have healthy competition within your environment. 12th house would more so represent the enemies that actually can cause you to suffer losses. How you view health. This can also represent our medicinal views, whether we are ones to go towards more holistic health or go towards more Western medicine. This house can actually determine divorce as well. So when you're looking at this house, if you have negative aspects towards this house, or if you have planets that are more so malefic in this house, it could really signify that there might be a divorce or even a nasty divorce. This is really talking about your daily obstacles. So this also gives away a lot of clues about what you will be doing for work. The 2nd house, the 6th house, and the 10th house, where 10th house is about public persona, 6th house is about daily activities and obstacles, and 2nd house has to do with value and your family assets. So using these 3 houses, you are really able to kind of understand what your purpose is in life and what you're going to be making money off of. You okay? What's the matter? Mommy, I'm just not getting attention. Because the 6th house is ruled by Virgo, Virgo really has to do with service and order. Virgo is a fan of routine and being organized, perfection, and critical. So this definitely isn't a house that talks about our own personal take on that. So if this has a bad placement, you might not necessarily enjoy having a routine, and you might not necessarily make the best decisions health-wise. 7th house is all about the descendant, ruled by Libra. So the ascendant is all about the house of self, the way that you appear, where the descendant is about how you interact with other people. Now, many times I like to remind you that everyone that is around you is really a mirrored image of yourself. So the 7th house really has to do with the alter ego of you. The opposite of you is the person that holds a lot of similarities to who you are, but also offers some opposites to shake things up to where you can grow. When you look at the 7th house, it will tell you a lot about your partner, whether that be a partner as in a relationship, a marriage, or even business, but it will also tell you about your shadow self. It's how you act within the relationship. Now again, we're only attracting what we're giving off, so it only makes sense that your shadow self is exactly the partnerships that you would attract. 7th house also has to do with law, justice. This can also tell if someone has the storyline of being a lawyer or even attracting one. Libra rules our kidneys, our skin, our lower back, and our butt. The 8th house. 8th house is ruled by Scorpios. The 8th house is that dark and mysterious house that holds all of your secrets. 8th house is death and rebirth, regeneration, sex, secrets, psychology, occult, our addictions, taxes, transformation, and how we respond to crisis and change. What crisis is going to cause you to have a transformation for you to evolve? Because 2nd house has to do with our value, 8th house is opposite of 2nd house and has to do with other people's values, what we value in other people that are in our lives. Other people's money. You just had 7th house, which is your marriage, so 8th house also includes our partner's resources, our partner's values, what our partner's values are adding on to our own values. This house speaks of our in-laws. So what this can also include is information on divorce or alimony and an inheritance that you might receive due to a death or anything that's relating towards something occurring due to crisis. Scorpio rules the reproductive system and the sexual organs. So again, that's stemming from that sexual energy that the 8th house is mysteriously known for. So 9th house. 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius. 9th house is all about our belief systems and our personal philosophy, adventures and exploration. This is the long distance travel. So whereas the opposite is Gemini, it is short distance travel. This is long distance journeys, long distance voyages, all to come to an understanding of what life is really truly about. This is a house that talks about our ability to translate foreign languages or to learn them. This house covers our religious or spiritual beliefs, our personal reasons of why we are who we are, the discovery of our purpose, and what we are here to accomplish. All taught by our gurus, our teachers, and the wise around us. Sagittarius is governed by Jupiter, and Jupiter is known to be the largest planet in our solar system, as well as one of the most advising. Traditionally, this house reveals our teachings from Father, which is then personified publicly in the 10th house. Sagittarius rules the hips, the liver, and the thighs. Like Sagittarius, 9th house asks, what defines your personal freedom? 10th house is all about your public persona, career, and profession. Like the executive archetype of Capricorn, 10th house asks, who are you in the social world? Who are you outside of the home? 10th house talks about government, your ability to follow rules, achievement, reputation, authority, and whomever is in charge. This speaks of your bosses and management team. And most importantly, this talks about your father, a paternal caretaker. But there are plenty of times that birth charts will signify if you did have a father that was not necessarily in your physical presence. This area is the opposite of the IC, which is titled the midheaven. So the midheaven, it really kind of guides us into what job we are going to have. So once you take the second house of values, the sixth house of what you do during the day, so your daily activities and your obstacles, and then you take your public persona in the 10th house, that kind of gives you a nice even triangle of what exactly you're going to be doing in your field of work. What exactly you're going to be doing in society throughout the day to gain value. Capricorn rules the joints and the skeletal system. With Capricorn governed by Saturn, 10th house asks, how disciplined are you truly to be able to obtain the goals that you set in the 11th house? 11th house. The 11th house is ruled by the sign of Aquarius, which is governed traditionally by Saturn, but is modernly governed by Uranus in Western astrology. 11th house is one of the most important houses that we have in our birth charts. It is everything. 11th really stands for the master number of manifestation and our ability to be able to manifest the things that we need in order to obtain any goals that are set in our entire life. To pull in whatever is needed to attract our goals, our hopes, our aspirations, and our wishes. Although the North Node really has to do with our destination, the 11th house talks about our ability to get there. So it really, if you have a beautiful placement in this area, it's going to show that support system to be able to obtain whatever that you need in order to deliver your inner purpose. This is the area of groups, organizations, elder siblings, and friendships. Bad placements in this area would unfortunately cause restrictions. It doesn't mean that your life is doomed, but it will definitely serve a reason to watch out and be a little bit more observant and definitely prepared. Aquarius represents the legs, the ankles, and the circulatory system. 11th house asks how you personally stand out and what you can do for your community. 12th house, the last and final house. This house is ruled by Pisces, which is traditionally governed by Jupiter, but is modernly ruled by Neptune in Western astrology. 12th house is our subconscious, is Akashic records, our dreams, our spirituality. And 12th house represents our fears, weaknesses, and hidden traumas that are so deep relying inside of us that it specifically takes certain transits for us to be able to open the doors to that freedom. Our losses that we may suffer in this lifetime. 12th house also stands for isolated areas, so that could be hospitals, institutions, prisons, foreign lands. Neptune really covers our foggiest areas in life because it signifies illusions. So that being said, this really covers alcohol or drug use or anything that puts you out of this realm and into another. Pisces represents the feet and the lymphatic system.